everybody, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm doing a very short history of the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're one of the oldest franchises in NHL history and they have had many ups and many downs. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and like this video for more content, and let's dive right in. So the city of Toronto is closely connected to its sports teams and the sport of hockey in general, being the location of the Hockey Hall of Fame and all, with an obvious collective love of the Maple Leafs. The Toronto Hockey Club was established in 1917 as one of the founding teams, and while interest was slow to begin with, fandom grew when the team won their first Stanley Cup during their first season and they changed their name to the Arenas. During the First World War, the franchise was now called the St. Patricks or the St. Pats. This is due to the city's large Irish population at the time, who the team were really eager to draw in as fans. The St. Pats won another Stanley Cup in 1922, and fan engagement was still a very mixed area at this point, but interest really grew when Conn Smythe took over management of the franchise in 1927, creating a team brand which honoured the city's British roots, Protestant ideals and military past. The team was now officially called the Maple Leafs, and they would now wear blue and white, which was said to represent blue Canadian skies and white snow, but the city of Toronto has been synonymous with the colour blue for a long time, with other sports teams also choosing that colour scheme. Smythe's ambitions for the team led to the construction of a new arena. He saw the original arena gardens as lacking modernity and also not having appropriate seating. He had great ambitions for this club and he wanted them to have a good arena to play in. 5 months later, in 1931, the team debuted at their new arena, Maple Leaf Gardens. The opening ceremony included a performance from the 48th Highlanders of Canada, pipe and drums, a tradition which is still carried out at every season home opener to this day, and something I very badly want to see for very obvious reasons. With the development of radio, technology allowed the Maple Leafs to gain attention out with the boundaries of Toronto, as Canadians around the country sought escapism from the Great Depression and the Second World War through their beloved hockey team. Really, the Leafs were a light during some dark times in the country's history, and they offered some respite from often troubling times. The team won the cup again in the 1931-32 season, their first cup under the Maple Leaf name. Between 1932-33 and 1939-40, the Leafs appeared in 6 Stanley Cup finals, but lost each time before winning in 1942, the first of 5 wins under coach Hap Day. Heading into the 1950s, defenseman Bill Barilko helped the Leafs win their 4th Stanley Cup in 5 years during the 1951 finals. But unfortunately, his glory was short-lived, as he disappeared in a plane crash near Timmins in Ontario 4 months later. At the time, they didn't find any crash and it was just a complete disappearance. The Leafs didn't win another cup during the 1950s, with many claiming that the team was now cursed. They seemed to think that the curse wouldn't be lifted until Barilko's body was found. Oddly, the curse actually came to an end in 1962, just 6 weeks before the wreckage of Barilko's plane crash was found. In November 1961, Smythe had sold off most of his shares because he was getting older to his son Stafford, the Toronto Telegram owner John Bassett, and of course Harold Ballard. A rebuilt Leafs team saw the addition of many Hall of Famers including George Armstrong, Tim Horton, Johnny Bower and Dave Keon. This powerhouse of players led to 3 consecutive Stanley Cups and of course 1966-67, which, as everyone knows to this day, is the last time the Leafs lifted the cup. The 1970s saw the Leafs suffer their first real period of failure. This was really the Harold Ballard era. He was primary owner of the Leafs for 2 decades, 2 long, headline-grabbing and chaotic decades. A 3-year sentence for 47 white-collar crimes, refusal to give fair pay, mistreatment and mismanagement, which ran the franchise into the ground. This was the darkest era of Leafs history. The 1990s saw a resurgence for the Leafs and a much brighter period for the franchise. Despite still not winning a cup, the roster was now full of exciting players who were enjoyable to watch again. This included Felix Potvin, Doug Gilmour, Matt Sundin and Wendell Clark, just to name a few. They did reach the conference finals in the 1990s and they also moved to the Air Canada Centre in 1999. Until last season, the last time the Leafs had made the second round was in the 03-04 season. Of course there was the lockout in 05, but again they kind of struggled during the first decade of the new millennium. In 2014, Brendan Shanahan was named as president and the Leafs entered a new era with young prospect players and a lot of exciting excitement surrounding the team again. They drafted Austin Matthews first overall in 2016, and as I say, this was a new era. They had a core four now of Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander and John Tavares. This really got fans excited once again about the team, so despite the lack of a cup, the now Scotiabank Arena has great attendance rates, and Leafs fandom has reached all the way around the globe to attract fans from all over the entire world. After reaching the second round last year and breaking the curse of the first round, it's hoped that the Leafs will very soon have some more Stanley Cup history to add to their franchise. So there you have it. There is a very short, very brief history of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let me know if you'd like me to do this for any other NHL franchise, or if you'd like more Leafs history videos, also let me know. Leave me a comment down below with any of your thoughts on the Leafs past or present, and I'll be back soon with more hockey and baseball chats from across the pond. Bye guys.